Today's video discusses the causes of sudden blindness in a dog. So moving on to question number 2, and this is all about sudden blindness in dogs. So this dog noticed that the eyesight was going maybe a week previously, and then the dog suddenly became blind. They took them to the vet where it was examined, and there was the suspicion that it's going through sudden acquired retinal degeneration syndrome, or SARDS. And the question is really, well, what are the causes of sudden blindness? Is that going to be the diagnosis? They've done some reading about HeartGuard. The dog has just started HeartGuard, and there's potentially some implications that that can cause sudden blindness. And then are there any treatments that might actually help this dog regain their sight? So there are potentially a number of causes of sudden blindness in dogs. So the SARDS, or sudden acquired retinal degeneration syndrome, is certainly one, but we can also get cataracts due to diabetes. We can get retinal detachment, which can be an immune mediated problem, so the body's immune system isn't working as it should do, or it can also be blood pressure related, which is generally a result of kidney disease. We can also have glaucoma, which is an increase in pressure within the eye causing blindness. That's often very painful and is quite can be quite obvious when it's advanced. And we can also get tumours in the eye that can cause blindness, and there's a whole heap of other things. We can get brain lesions as well. Now onto HeartGuard. Now HeartGuard contains ivermectin, and ivermectin toxicity can cause sudden blindness, but at normal doses and even at 10 times the normal dose, so a 10 times overdose, HeartGuard has been found to be safe even in collies, which is a breed that is known to be more sensitive to the effects of ivermectin than other breeds of dogs. So normal HeartGuard treatment is really highly unlikely to be responsible for this sudden blindness, or for any blindness, unless a really serious overdose was given, or there was another exposure to a different source of ivermectin. So ivermectin is found in other parasite control products, and also some livestock products and that kind of thing. So if there's been any exposure to those chemicals, then that's certainly a potential, and one to bear in mind. Now, the sudden acquired retinal degeneration syndrome, that's actually a really rare disease. We don't know why it happens. It could be immune mediated, so again the immune system isn't working properly. It could be due to something called Cushing's disease, or hyperadrenocorticism, which is an abnormality in a body's either pituitary or adrenal gland. Blindness generally occurs in less than 1 month, so this dog certainly ticks that box. It's often accompanied by an increase in thirst and an increase in hunger, so that would be interesting to know if that was the case. And unfortunately, there's no medical or surgical treatment that we are aware of at this stage to treat that. Now, that could mean that a dog is blind permanently, but it's important to think that actually many dogs can cope very well with being blind. Some will struggle, and my experience is that those dogs that have become blind very, very suddenly, and certainly with something like diabetic cataracts, that can happen in 24 to 48 hours in some cases, so it can come on really suddenly, and that's in both eyes. And they may struggle to cope a little bit more, but those dogs that become blind maybe a little bit more slowly, they can cope very well. But we need to be keeping the environment stable, so we don't want to be moving furniture, changing the floor plan of the house, just so that your dog kind of is very familiar with their surroundings. We want to install stair gates if you've got any stairs, so that they can't either fall downstairs or they can't climb up and get themselves into trouble, and that can cause them some serious injuries. You can also get something called a halo harness when your dog is out. So that is a little harness that they wear, and it's got kind of almost like a plastic halo rim that goes around their face, so that when they are coming up to bump into something, then that actually knocks into that halo. The dog feels it and they're not going to bump into it and hurt themselves. Talking to your dog is also important. Just don't sneak up on them, because that can give them a fright and cause a great deal of anxiety. So while it can be very distressing, and understandably it's very distressing for any dog that goes blind suddenly, they often will cope very well with a few changes and a few adaptations to their lifestyle. So that's definitely something to consider.
You've been watching the Dr. Alex Answers video podcast. Remember to subscribe and head over to dralexanswers.com for any links, downloads, and get your question answered.